Coming up on this episode of Outlook TV, Vancouver Queer Irish.
Calgary, Casey and Diana.
And opera Unbound, The Fox, and much, much more. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Outlook TV. I'm Darren Monette.
And I'm Angus Pratt. We'd like to acknowledge and thank the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations and the surrounding nations for the privilege of filming on their traditional lands.
Outlook TV is the queer news magazine program that brings you the stories that matter the most from coast to coast to coast. So first up, we're going to talk with Gary. He's with the Vancouver Queer Irish. It's all about the Gaelic football. I'm interested about that.
Yeah.
There are many Irish citizens in Canada, and some are members of the Vancouver Queer Irish group. We came out to Gaelic football to meet some of them.
Vancouver Queer Irish was set up in 2021. It was set up through the Irish Consulate, and so it's a community group that originally was set up to support the queer Irish in Vancouver, but it's grown since then to have people from all over the world. The Irish Consulate's a huge support for Vancouver Queer Irish. It means that we can run many of our events for free, and many of them heavily discounted for the community. The Vancouver Queer Irish's main focus is supporting our community and running events, but through that we also have a huge focus on fundraising for non-profits both here in Vancouver, across Canada and abroad. Last year we fundraised about $5,000 for community. We also have a smaller group who work with Rainbow Refugee, currently sponsoring a refugee and help him set up and get his life here in Vancouver together.
Díagwich is Misha Brianne Nolan, is us Vancouver Queer Irish, agus tátu ag fécant Outlook TV. Vancouver Queer Irish organise a ton of events. We've got standard social events, just kind of community gatherings each month. We also have bigger events throughout each month for Pride, for example. We also have our 5-year anniversary coming up this June, which is really exciting. Throughout March, we have a ton of events to promote Irish culture. We have our GAA kickoff session, we've got an Irish language series, and then we've got our big St. Paddy's Day celebration. So each month we've got at least 2 or 3 events, a couple of more casual ones, and then some ticketed events for members.
It's hard when you live so far away from home. Your loved ones are still in Ireland. You really feel that distance, but staying involved in cultural events, community groups, music, football is amazing. Gaelic football is the lifeblood of the Irish community. It exists in every small town, in every parish. We all grew up playing Gaelic football. And we thought that it was so important that we brought an inclusive GAA football session to Vancouver, because for many of us who grew up gay and Irish, GAA didn't feel like a place that we fit in. The slogan is where we all belong, but the ironic thing is for gay people, it sometimes doesn't feel that way. So today's session is all about bringing together queer people, non-queer people, different sports teams and community groups to try Gaelic football and rewrite those bad memories that we might have had when we were growing up.
Gaelic football is one of the 4 traditional sports in Ireland. It was set up like over 200 years ago. It was actually established as an association in Ireland before Ireland even got its own independence. That's how old it is. And today we're hosting a taster session for the queer community here. We're going to be doing a series of skills today. So the first skill is going to be the hand pass. So that is going to be holding the ball out in front of you and kind of serving it like in a volleyball style. And then the skill is the solo. You run with the ball in your hand 4 steps, and then you have to kick the ball back to you.
So we're always looking for people to get involved in Vancouver Queer Irish. We have people supporting us and volunteering with us from all over the world. The more people that get involved, the bigger events we can run, the more events we can run. So yeah, we would love more people to come down and help us out.
From Vancouver, this is Gary Wolfeater for Outlook TV.
Next, we're going to Toronto, where Andre is going to introduce us to Marilyn at Pegasus for our new art exhibition.
Yeah, it's all about geometric shapes. Triangles, man.
Hello everyone, salut tout le monde. Toronto artist Marilyn Calleja transformed nature into striking geometric landscape, built one triangle at a time. I met her at Pegasus on Church to talk about her artistic journey and her exhibition From Dusk to Dawn.
In 2019, when I first developed a vestibular disorder, I couldn't walk, I couldn't watch TV, I couldn't read. One day, there it was, the easel, the paints, the paintbrushes, and I started to paint. My very first painting isn't about triangles. It's actually all rectangles and squares. It was my therapy, it was my rehabilitation, and that was the moment that started my journey to paint. My wife, Krista, has been absolutely instrumental to my creative journey. Krista had said to me, Marilyn, every time I come out and see you paint, I am full of joy. I really wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her on this creative journey. Nature is healing, really. I mean, the trees, the skies, the landscape. There were 3 or 4 different trees that I have used as muses in my earlier paintings. One's called the Performer. The other one is called the Hand. I would gravitate to these trees. We would not be on this earth without the trees and nature. Every single element of my paintings are made of triangles. So when you see it from afar, you don't really see the triangles. But as you approach the painting, you will start to see that not only is the entire painting made of triangles, but every single triangle is different. From dusk till dawn, I could have had it from dawn till dusk, but that was not telling my story. This exhibit maybe seems to be a little bit darker. We start off at dusk, but then we end at dawn. And what you will see in my final painting of this exhibit, it's titled A New Day. The colors are different. The brightness, it's so different than all of the other paintings, which is completely reflective of where I'm at today, in a much, much better place, and that's my story. I consider Pegasus to be my extended living room. It's where friends meet. It's where the community comes together. It's not only representative of diversity, but it is very inclusive. For me, showing my exhibition here has been all about connecting with the community. The people who maybe wouldn't necessarily go to a gallery to go and see art. They come here, and it's friendly. And it's really just so lovely to connect with people. When people see my paintings, it brings them joy. It brings them closer to art. It brings them closer to connection. I certainly feel very, very connected through my art, and I'm so grateful for that.
Thank you for being with us. This is Andre Tardif at Pegasus on Church in Toronto for Outlook TV.
Stick with us, we have way more coming up.
Lots to see on Outlook TV.
My name is Maddie Walker with CBRC, and you're watching Outlook TV.
Welcome back to Outlook TV.
So now we're in Calgary talking with T, who's covering the play Casey and Diana.
The Alberta Theatre Project is putting on a production of Casey and Diana, which tells the story of Princess Diana's visit to Casey House in Toronto. We're catching up with the front of the house as well as the actors to tell us about the play as well as the ambiance that they create for all patrons of the show.
Casey and Diana by Nick Green takes place in Casey House, Canada's first ever freestanding AIDS hospice. In the 7 days leading up to the iconic visit from Princess Diana, she showed such compassion to patients who were otherwise often not even touched by their caregivers. There was such a stigma around AIDS, there was so much fear and ignorance around it, that Casey House, providing a compassionate, loving, very involved, very personal experience for those patients, was a really unique thing at that time. And then for Princess Diana to come and just break those barriers without hesitation. She touched the patients, she connected with the patients. It did a lot for the AIDS movement.
Thomas, the character that I'm playing in this play, it was really important to understand the time that he existed in, what life was like for a gay man at that time. And that really informed a lot about who the character was for me, and what his life was like, and what Casey House was like, and what it meant to somebody like him, which is really what this play is. It's set at Casey House, so there's a lot of love and care and compassion from the nurse that exists there, from the volunteer who exists within the play as well. And so it's really a story about compassion and hope and forgiveness. For my character, Thomas, a big part of his story is the estrangement he has with his sister Pauline, and a big part of his storyline is the reconciliation that she seeks with him, and the forgiveness that happens between them.
Nick's writing is very rich and does all the work for us, really. Marjorie is such a clear character. Her intentions are clear. Her foibles and her fumbles are clear. Nick Green himself actually told me when I asked him about her, she does everything from love. He was like, that's all I need to say.
Setting up our lobby with some good Canadian and British decoration. We have different areas where the patrons can sit with some quilts and some blankets to be comfortable. So we have an area that has some Princess Diana photos and some memories of her visit here that are also moments that relate back to the show, which is really nice for the patrons to see. We also have one part of the AIDS quilt on loan from the AIDS Society, and we welcome our patrons to reflect on the show, reflect on moments in their own lives and how it's related to them. We take those cards of whatever they've written and we post them on a board with a red ribbon. Patrons can see and maybe have those vulnerable moments that you wouldn't necessarily discuss, but we want shared.
Make sure to check out a production of Casey and Diana in a city near you. From Calgary, my name is T for Outlook TV.
Next up, Gary's going to take us to the Rise Queer Art Exhibition.
Right, this is the work of 21 LGBTQ artists.
We're at Rise, a gender-based violence that weaves together research and art to illuminate the harm of gender-based violence and the enduring strength of the 2SLGBTQIA+ community.
Rise represents work that's been happening for over 2 years in a collaboration between the Community-Based Research Center and Health Initiative for Men and the Two Spirit program at CBRC, where we've been working with survivors of gender-based violence who are part of the 2SLGBTQIA+ community through arts-based workshops to understand their experiences and help us provide recommendations to service providers so that services can be more supportive and inclusive. With queer and trans community can often feel very extractive, and we really wanted this to be a collaborative experience where participants could feel a sense of healing and connection through the research project. Work connected with survivors of gender-based violence in the Fraser region. So we did in-person workshops in Surrey, and then also connected with survivors living across the region through online workshops as well.
This particular project here, it is an art show. And I think it's so fabulous because it is an opportunity for people to heal through expression, through sharing their heart through art. And so many times we're told we have to heal like this, or we need to get on with it. And I think it's really important to make sure to realize that we're all beautiful human beings, and we should be able to feel safe and brave to share our stories. And when we talk about gender-based violence, it's important to define it and let people know that people may have experienced it and not even know and just thought that was normal. Some of our artists have experienced domestic abuse, but it can also be even our trans community as well for, the discrimination that they face in day-to-day life. But also just even when we talk about being in positions to where it's just not safe or empowering to be yourself. And a lot of times that stems on what gender you are. It can mean something different for everyone. But at the end of the day, somebody feels not safe and impacted by how somebody else has made them feel. And this is a collection of all the voices that we've been collecting over the last couple of years, actually. Being able to meet with people and talking with them and asking them what works for them and what are some of the challenges that they're facing. Not only that, we're also having interviews with service providers. And we're finding out how are they being able to support the 2S LGBTQIA+ communities. Really eye-opening. Because how these art pieces have helped the participants, it's given them an opportunity to explore. And it is an art-based therapy project. It doesn't mean you have to be good at art. We express ourselves through things that make us feel happy. So we had a bunch of magazines as well, so they could cut out pictures that could help them tell their story. So we gave them permission to say, feel free to express yourself.
This is Gary Wolfader for Outlook TV.
Yeah, we're almost done, but come on back. We got a little bit more.
Yes, we always have a little bit more.
Hello, my name is Roan Shankaruk, and I'm the composer of The Fox, a new chamber opera, and you're watching Outlook TV.
Welcome back to Outlook TV.
Yeah, so I understand you got to talk to the nice people at the Some Gallery.
Yes, it was amazing. We're at the Some Gallery in Vancouver for the launch of their latest exhibition, Kinship, which features 6 transgender and gender diverse artists. Today we're going to speak with the artistic director to find out what it's all about.
Kinship it's a group ceramic exhibition that is centered around trans and gender diverse artists. And it is curated by J. Saleh Carrington. And it's running at Some Gallery from March 19th to April 24th. J. Saleh Carrington is actually Vancouver-based, but has been living abroad for many years and recently returned to Vancouver. They actually have a studio just around the corner from us, and they were part of our community exhibition in 2025 for the Queer Arts Festival. And as you can see behind me, it's some extraordinary work that they have. So we're really excited to have invited them not only to present their own art, but to actually curate the art of 5 other local artists who work with ceramics.
Ceramic sculptor based out of Vancouver, and mostly I work with ceramic clay and some multimedia and mostly figurative work, animal human forms. Canadian Clay Symposium is happening right now at Shadbolt up in Burnaby, and so this exhibition is a ceramic exhibition of 6 trans and gender diverse artists based out of Vancouver. So I did a call for proposals, and I invited all these artists to showcase here, and picking the work was so hard because there's so much incredible artwork out there. And, I chose the pieces specifically to fit the theme of the show and artwork that I thought was intriguing and, part of the concept. The theme of the show, Kinship, really ties together the importance of community and kinship, and sticking together, supporting one another has been a really big part of the show and the community. Traditionally, a community that's kind of been pushed to the fringes of society. So Trans Day of Visibility is on March 31st, and what a perfect way to celebrate visibility of trans people with an exhibition of trans sculptors based out of Vancouver. There's going to be a 2-day workshop where I'm teaching people how to build animal heads out of clay. First day we're going to build the animal heads, and then the second day we're going to glaze them. So this piece is called We Sharpen Our Teeth Together. It very much fit the theme of kinship, where it's bonding together and how we stick together, fight for our rights together, and how that means slightly different things for everybody and different experiences. There's a sculpture over here by Felix Thomas. This is a new installation they just finished a couple days ago. Pedram's pieces are over in this direction, and also an artist who's been making a lot of work around Vancouver, and very excited to see much more of them on display.
For Outlook TV, this is Angus Pratt at the Some Gallery for the Kinship exhibition in Vancouver. Next, we're going to talk about the world premiere of opera Unbound, The Fox.
Right, so this opera is all about 2 women living on a farm, and a young soldier comes to stay.
Ooh.
Opera Unbound has the world premiere of a new chamber opera, The Fox. We're at a rehearsal to find out what the opera is about.
A fox was right at my feet when...
The Fox is based on D.H. Lawrence's novella, and this adaptation is written by Roan Shankaruk. And this is a story about 3 people at the end of the First World War, with the influenza that's happening in the town nearby. And essentially, it's sort of this interesting kind of claustrophobic play of these three characters who are caught up in intrigue and mystery, romance, and power play.
I tell you the chick, they're not afraid of a smelly.
I think it's debatable about the queer themes that come up in The Fox, but there is the central relationship between the characters of Bamford and March. So they're the two women who basically have taken over this farm. They've created this domestic space for each other, and suddenly this man comes into the space and sort of threatens kind of their sort of domestic bliss, you know, and then it sort of becomes a really interesting navigation of sexuality, where the character of March is sort of exploring this attraction and strange magnetic pull towards Henry, whilst trying to honor her relationship with this Jill, the Bamford character.
And so after I finished my previous opera at the Fringe Festival, I started reading all my short story books on my shelf, all in the public domain, so as for ease of adaptation. And I was reading a lot of D.H. Lawrence, and this one really stood out because it's such amazingly beautiful prose that I thought this is perfect to be sung. It's like poetry all the way through. It's a little bit surreal, which I think is cool in a piece of theater. And also, in a practical way, it's a great dramatic arc, and only 3 characters, which for a chamber opera is kind of the perfect. I love adapting it from the novel. It's kind of like doing a puzzle of figuring out what can be a trio, or often you just are inspired by just the words on the page. You think, oh, immediately this is an aria or a song. And then I composed it for probably 2 years, I think. I was writing it in my little room in university in Winnipeg, and in various cafes and this and that. But it's always inspiring. I compose programmatically, which is that everything represents something. So I do the piano here sounds like birdsong or leaves or the river, or, so it was very fun.
Oh, crouching heart within me quails like a shuddering thing as I turn on my pillow.
Yeah, so it's going to be at the Annex between the 17th to the 19th, and there's going to be 7:30 shows and a matinee.
Oh, I don't suppose he will.
Check out Opera Unbound's The Fox. This is Gary Wolfader for Outlook TV.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of Outlook TV, but we will be back.
And be sure to check us out on social media, and we're always looking for new volunteers.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Darren Monette.
And I'm Angus Pratt. Stay fabulous, Canada.